ورجعنا لكم مرة ثانية لهذه الحلقة الخاصة والمميزة لفيلم هابي نيو يير. كان لقاء مع اللاين بروديوسر لهذا الفيلم وهي ميني شامل، وتابع مع بعض.
About me, I started off my education in social work, where I finished it with an MPhil, but then accidentally I came into the film field. I worked as a director producer for Sun Network, which is the biggest South Indian channel. And from there I moved on to Malaysia, where I was heading another channel as a vice president for NTV7. It was during that time I started working on films for them. And in 2004, I am so fortunate to be a part. I was a co-producer for a film which was called Putri Gunung Ledang, which was sent from the Malaysian government for the Academy Awards. So, yeah, my career started off like that. Then I came to UAE, where we started off with Prasad Labs and slowly moved on to create my own company as 7 Media. Before I talk about Happy New Year, I would like to say that I worked in a lot of South Indian films, especially Malayalam films, where I was a line producer for a lot of films. Mr. Priyadarshan's film, which was the first film which was shot in Abu Dhabi, and the entire 45 days we did in Abu Dhabi, which was called as Arabi Motagum. And after that, slowly I had calls from the Hindi industry, where the first was confirmed was Happy New Year. I'm thankful that they took me on as a line producer. It was a challenging job because South Indian films are very, the crew is very small. We had maximum of 50 crew, whereas in Happy New Year we had around 150 crew totally, with around 20 crew from the local also. So it was challenging, though the picture was around Atlantis. Still there are a lot of places in Atlantis which we shifted from each day to day. Yeah, both of them were a wonderful person, not only personally, even as when you work on the set. And Farah Khan was a person who kept up to the time. She was there on the set at 7:30. If the call time was at 7:30, she was there on the set at 7:30. So as a production person, we had to be there well in advance, set up everything. So once she comes to the set, then she knows that things are there and she feels happy. Then the day goes on very smoothly. And Shah Rukh Khan was also very nice. He was very accommodative. Because there were times when we were shooting in the airport, when we were shooting at the immigration, and we had our limitations there because it's a public area. And he was very accommodative and with the time and the way how things worked out. We took around, first schedule we took about 25 days at a stretch where all the artists were there. Then we had some desert scenes and some aerial shots, which was another 7 days. So totally around 32 to 35 days. Difficulties were because we were just starting summer and we were shooting on the desert during peak of summer. And we had we were shooting on the 40th floor of one of the tallest buildings in Marina. We had a temperature around 50 degrees, so you can imagine how it will be the crew there. Otherwise, it was quite easy because the location was very contained, so it was fine. Actually, it was done on post actually. We did film with an octocopter on top of the building, and then we did film with our cameras on the building. But then the real fight was shot in Bombay in the studios. And we did it on post actually. A lot of visual effects were added in it. Best moments, every day was a good moment. Especially I loved the day when we were shooting in Dubai Mall, which I thought will be the worst day, you know, because we had the crowd, we had all the artists in there, so I thought this was the worst day. But that day went on very smoothly. So we had all the arrangements, and I should thank actually Dubai Film Commission, who had helped me out from the beginning, from the day when we submitted the script. You know, they were there on board, and till the premiere they were there with us. So I should really thankful for the government. And we had all the visas done by Dubai Tourism, who also came on board. So we had a lot of help, you know. And Atlantis, of course, the whole movie is in Atlantis, so. Yeah, I have one South Indian film which is by a director who had won the national award. His name is Salim Ahmed. His next movie, I'll be doing it. It's about a person in Dubai. Actually, the film is about a person who lived in Dubai, and the actor is Mammootty. I can't talk much about Airlift, which is the name of the movie, because we are just starting a pre-production on this, and it will be done fully in Ras Al Khaimah, and we'll be again doing around 35 days. And it's basically a war movie, which I think is already out. Like, it's a war movie.
أما بالنسبة لرايتر هذا الفيلم فهو آثيا كوشان، كان لنا معه هذا اللقاء.
I'm not a writer by training. I have been in the media though, but mostly non-fiction media. And the stories just happened. I taught myself how to write screenplay actually with my first film, Game. And that's because they were going to, Farhan Akhtar was my producer, and he was going to hire a screenplay writer. And I couldn't understand what that was. So he showed me a screenplay of honeymoon travels. And I couldn't even read it. It looks strange. But then I spent 2 months and I learned how to write it, and then that's how I became a screenplay writer. It was fantastic. Farah and me have a lot in common. We're in the same school. We grew up in the same school. She's 5 years my senior. We have a lot of friends in common, but when we met, we didn't know each other at all. But when we met, I guess there was an instant connection. She had a story. She had a story, but it wasn't fleshed out, and so she was struggling with it. And so we got down to it, and it took us 14 days to write it. There's no pressure. If you've got Farah Khan and SRK, the pressure is the least of your problems, because suddenly you have a budget. Because you've got two giants. Money is no limit. So suddenly you're thinking about planes and helicopters and great locations, because you don't have to. The pressure comes from telling a great story in a small budget. This is no limits on the table. So actually it was, for me personally, I think it would be a writer's dream to be told that you can write exactly what you want. Don't worry about the money, it will come. Well, I think there are people that we know. The characters are completely, like Temi, for example, is actually one of Farah's uncles. So everything that Temi is come from her personal knowledge. Abhishek's character is people I know, a friend of mine who's exactly like that. So we've drawn from people we know, which I think is the best place to draw from. You know, because then you have a prototype in front of you. You don't have to think too much. You're like, I know this person, and you write for them. I think Charlie's character was the only one that wasn't inspired by anybody. That would be me. And when we were writing the story, we just started talking about the story. And I have a friend of mine who came to Dubai on holiday. I'd never been to Dubai before. And she told me, I've got 2 daughters. She said, you have to take the girls to the Atlantis. I said, what is the Atlantis? And she said, it's a hotel in Dubai, and they've got sharks in the room. And I'm like, what? And it sounded fantastic. So I Googled the hotel, not Dubai as a location, just the hotel. And it was, I mean, as you can imagine, the Atlantis is shocking to anybody who's never seen it before. It's just big and beautiful. And suddenly I could see the whole area. So I straight away ran. Farah lives across my house in Bombay. I ran to a place and listen, the location is Atlantis. And she was like, where is the Atlantis? I said, Dubai. And she said, oh, fantastic. So we looked at it. It was great. We sent the EP, came to Dubai, tied up all the deals, and we were done. on my sets, I go for the first shot only. In India, we have what we call the nariyal tod, we break the coconut, okay? I go for that and that's it. And if I have the time, I go for the last shot. I don't like going on sets. On this one, I went twice. And both times because of my girlfriends in Dubai who wanted to come and see Shah Rukh Khan. That's all. Yeah, I have a few. One would be, I'll tell you what happened with my driver. When I went to narrate to Shah Rukh, we went to his house, right? Now my drivers used to, coming with me to different offices and things like that. And Shah Rukh's house in Bombay is called Mannat. Mannat is a landmark, okay? It's a big landmark. It's like Burj Khalifa, okay? So when I told my driver, I said, Vinod bhai, we have to go to Mannat. He said, sure, without reacting. We've driven to Mannat and he says, yeah, okay, now where? He thinks it's a landmark. I said, no, Mannat. He says, yeah, here's Mannat, now where? I said, into Mannat. He stops the car, he looks at me, he says, you're going into Mannat? I said, yes. Are you going to meet Shah Rukh? I said, yes. He was just, I thought he was going to die and go to heaven, right? The narration was 9 hours long. I think it's the longest narration I've had in my life. Because Shah Rukh likes to interrupt every 5 lines with stories from his own life. So you feel when you sit in a room with this man, you are a friend. You do not feel like you're narrating to him. He's very comfortable and he's very easy. 9 hours later we come out. Shah Rukh also walks you to your car. He will never drop you off at the door, no matter who you are. Vinod, who has taken pictures now of everything, potted plant, car, everything, and sent to his family, right? I'm in Shah Rukh's house. He's shocked because suddenly the door opens and Shah Rukh walks out behind me. And he cannot believe that he's this close to the man. So we get in the car, I hug Shah Rukh, we hug, it's all fine. I get in and tell Vinod, bhai, gaadi chalaiye. And Vinod can't drive, he is frozen. He has gone completely into shock. So I tell him again, now I'm whispering, I said, Vinod, chalo na. Vinod is not being able to even start the car. Shah Rukh has knocked on the window. Vinod has put the window down. He's put his hand on his shoulder. He says, Vinod bhai, chaliye na. I'm telling you, he made his life. In that one moment, for Vinod, it was the high point of his life. And that is actually the man he is. He has no problem interacting with anybody. No man is too small for him. That's his charm. No, we laughed and laughed if anything and we got very fat, Farah and me, because we only ate through the writing. Farah's about the food and so am I, and that's all we did. We ate and we wrote. I have another film, it's called 3 Stories. It is being produced by Farhan Akhtar. We start rolling tomorrow actually in Bombay. It's a niche film. It's being released at the Berlin Film Festival next year. That's one. I'm writing another one, which is a screenplay adaptation of a book from a Pakistani author. I can't say much more about that, but it's a very exciting project. The writing is yet to start, so I'm thinking it'll go on the floor by October or November of next year, not before that. In terms of the films, that's what I'm doing. In terms of what I'm doing in Dubai is I work with Saffron Media Corp. We publish 2 of the biggest magazines out of the country, which is Femina and Filmfare. And so it's a really, really exciting place to be. I mean, I'm in my element. This is my business, my industry. So it was, and great people, super company, lovely. Very excited.
نطلع وياكم بريك قصير ونرجع نكمل وياكم ما تبقى من هذه الحلقة المميزة والخاصة لفيلم هابي نيو يير. بريك بعد.